Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, small law firm in central Minnesota. And hi. Welcome back. Welcome to the show. Let me put out a warning. It's probably not the warning you're expecting. It's not the warning you're expecting. Let me put out a warning. This is a live stream. It's a live show. The format is a little different. There's going to be a little bit of stall and delay at the beginning, and there's a reason for it, a business reason for it. I guess it's a business reason. Not really. It lets people funnel in as they get notifications and stuff. Look, the first minutes of this are going to be a little bit rambly, and I'm going to talk about what's been going on outside of this before we jump into New York Times versus Sullivan. So I will be prepared to see several comments on the video telling me that I talked too much at the beginning. I know. I got it. The live streams are a little different format than just a regular video. Okay, and I'm working on doing more and more of those regular videos, the shorter updates and condense things, especially on the current topical events or updates on lawsuits. So try to have both. Watch the one you like. I very much appreciate any watching that you do. Let's talk a little bit. Tech7Go kicks this off with Daddy, yes! Guys, I've learned so much. I've learned so much over the past weekend. As some of you may or may not know, I went to Knoxville, Tennessee to see two internet guys. We'll say guys. We'll keep this PG for now. We see two internet guys fight it out. Oh man, if the video's choppy, I know why. I'm gonna fix it right now. So I apologize. I don't know if it's actually choppy on your end, but it looks like it might be. Here we go. So I went to Knoxville on the promise of seeing two dummies on the internet. And that's not an assessment of either of their characters. Fight, literally, physically, fist fight over a whole year of drama building up and just bubbling under the surface. And it was going to be unleashed in a cage with gloves and probably biting and illegal elbows and all sorts of stuff. And then it didn't happen. It didn't happen because one of them so crippled his own ability to go there that he had to roll through lie after lie after lie. And eventually we found out after all of the lies that he had molested the process from the beginning. Is this too thick? Am I laying it on too thick? No. So one guy signs a name, which we haven't confirmed, by the way. We don't know what name he signed, but it's a name that doesn't match any of his documentation. And then when he goes to present the documentation, it doesn't match the name. He's like, well, it doesn't void a contract. Well, no, it doesn't void a contract. They can't verify that you even signed that contract. They don't know you. They don't know anything about you. So, long story short, the fight didn't happen, but the fun did. The fun did happen. We went to Knoxville and had a great time. But then I get to learn all the back lore of the jokes that I didn't know I was making. Like the daddy no joke. Ooh, this is not so pretty. Not a pretty joke. And then, of course, I go on in my interview. And if you haven't watched the interview, I'm sure everybody watching probably has. If you haven't watched the interview with Tonka, please go watch it. And the reason that it's listed as educational, and I think it was, the reason it's listed as educational is because it's how one way that we start to see how the process of getting information out of someone that maybe they don't want to share because maybe that information isn't true. And letting them poke the holes in their own story. I mean, it should be pretty obvious to everybody, whether you know the situation or not. You should get a feel as you're watching that interview that something isn't right. Something's not going the way that the person telling the story wanted it to go. I hope you got that. I got that. And I am not well versed in the drama. I know some of it. I know enough to know when I'm being lied to. So, go back and watch that. It's a fun thing to do. Of course, let me be clear. It happened in such a spectacularly better fashion than I thought. Than I thought it would. I didn't think there'd be any way that the interview would turn out the way it did. It's all the magic of people. Let me. There's a super chat I want to get to. Cormoran says, "It has begun." Rick Rekieta says, "Thank goodness there's a document on screen." Yes. Thank goodness there's a document on screen. Darking D says, "I would just like it on the record that I offered to take you and Lady Rackets out to possibly the best steakhouse in the country. Instead, you should have hit Omaha with me. I would love to, but we did have a good time, and it would have been very hard to change travel plans. But someday. And I do appreciate the offer. I really do." Xander's Rant says, "Didn't you challenge people before? Why didn't you fight?" Couple reasons. One, I challenged Google employees because I'm pretty sure none of them exist. What am I going to use to stoneware? Stone mug. I challenged Google employees. Two, I'm not licensed in the state of Tennessee to fight anybody. Just like Tonka, I'm not licensed in the state of Tennessee to throw these hands in a ring. Three, Worski and I would have to have some sort of special arrangement because I think I outweigh him by enough to be in a separate weight class. And, yeah, I don't know. But I'm old, guys. I'm old. I always thought fighting would be fun. Maybe I should try it sometime in sort of like a completely like a low-key sort of way. Not challenging someone on the internet. Anonymous. Oh, that's probably Bagel Goose. Mass you for and says, "Daddy, no! No! No. Oh yeah. So here I am telling a story about a man assaulting a child on that stream with that guest with the daddy no meme and everything, and I had no idea at the time what it meant. So I was watching it back today. Oh, that was brutal. that was kind of funny with the back lore. Heavy fisted, no. My schedule was very, very complete. We did not have much extra time at all. We were busy the whole time. I did get to go to Doug TeNaples' house in Nashville, and I did a stream with Doug TeNaples from his house. Lady Rackets is on there. If you haven't seen that, or if you don't watch Doug's channel, give it a look. Doug's a great guy. He'll probably make you mad at some point. But he'll do it with all the love in the world. And I'm going to be doing another stream with him very soon. Finally, Siren Jack says, "Hey Rackets, in your absence this weekend, I was informed by a self-styled Facebook legal expert that she could tell that a teenage boy is lying because all teenage boys in her past always lied. I told her that wouldn't hold up in court." Good job, buddy. Good job. Okay. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk some modern events, some current events, and we're going to talk in the scope of past events. and we're going to talk about what's to come. Apparently, I don't know if you guys have heard, but there was a group of white children, kids, high school students, and what I heard was they basically put on hoods. They carried crosses that were already on fire, which is very, very dangerous. You shouldn't do that. And they went in on a racial tirade. And they tried to hate. They tried to hate some people out of existence. And then they tried to hate the native out of a man. They tried to colonialize the man. They tried to make a man with a drum. They tried to take him from a Native American with a drum, and they tried to turn him into a guy chain vaping CBD oil with a drum in a drum circle, trying to bang a hippie chick. They tried to do all of that with their racism and their very devastating smirks. Devastating smirks. Whew, you guys, it's dangerous out there. I was out today, just today, and of course, I was down in Tennessee. Got a little more sun, so I was kind of tan earlier. It's worn off now. I was kind of tan earlier, and I went outside. I had to dodge like 4 or 5 smirks. I didn't want to be devastated by the smirk of a high school student with no privilege or power over me, because literally a child who can't do anything to me at all. I dodged smirks everywhere. Thank God I did. Thank God. I wouldn't want my children to end up fatherless if I was not dodging the devastating smirks. So what is happening? What's happening? Oh, and finally, yeah, as part of all this, of course, I got re-educated by Bronx Blogger. Cheers to you, Bronx. Taking the hardest position in the world, the one of an absolute idiot, and broadcasting it as hard as you can to the 5 people who will listen. Oh my God, you are a saint, sir. You're a champion. Bronx's solution to the kids, the Covington kids, unironically, apparently involves gulags. So there you go. Bagel Goose says, "Oh God, Nick, did you shake his hand?" Referring to Doug TenNapel. Yes, many times. It smelled, well, it was good. Cormoran says they terrorized Chief Steele's valor. Okay. I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know the back lore. We're going to talk about the news, mostly. Mostly we're going to talk about the news as we get through New York Times versus Sullivan. Matthew Uzunian says, "Whoa, Kimosabe. Donga Tribe no need license. Chief Squeaky Wheel and Donga Tribe move many ramps. Donga make iron tracings and smoke signals. Spirits in magic firebox no speak Donga Tribe. 10 of C no like read man." Okay, one final thing on the Tonka, and probably not one final thing. This stream's going to be a little discombobulated and back and forth because it's fun. It's a fun stream. We're going to have a good time. Maybe. I hope so. I hope we're going to have a good time. And so bear with me as I go back and forth, but we're going to eventually fully transition, just like 2019 demands, into New York Times versus Sullivan. Yeah, the final thing on the Tonka thing. I don't know if Valor's going to sue Tonka or not. They most likely have a claim. I am going to, and if Tim Loy happens to hear this, I gotta find out how to message him. I don't know. But if Tim Loy happens to hear this, Tim, this is a heartfelt request, and feel free to say no. I would understand. Since Tonka was in breach of contract, and presumably there's no NDA on that contract anymore, and Valor, I think, could waive the NDA anyway if it's drafted the way I think it is. The NDA would be for Valor's benefit, not Tonka's. Tim Loy, would you please allow me to have a redacted copy of that contract? One that doesn't have any names attached to it. You can even blank out the fake name on the signature. I don't care. I would no dollar amounts or anything like that. I just want to see the basic terms of that contract. I know there's no NDA. If you would be willing, sir, to let me see that, that would be great. I would love it. And I would happily have you on to talk about it, or I would like to go through it because I would like to show people what kind of contract exists. So now, even if you don't want to do, or if you don't want to do that, I fully understand. We'll hold no grudge. It'd be absolutely reasonable of you guys as you contemplate litigation to not do it, but it would also be wonderful if you wanted to. So I will be asking you in person, Tim Loy, as soon as I can find out how to contact you. But I would love to see that contract. Oh, and finally, I know I said final, but I thought of something else. He told me that he like switched the name. I just like switched the names, you know, the first and last or first and middle or whatever. But I've heard rumors and reports from Valor that that's not true, that it wasn't something as simple as just a swapped first and middle name. So, kind of seems like maybe there was some lying going on. I don't know. I hope we get some, man, if they sue him and I can get the documents, of course I will cover that case. But I do have 2 streams coming up. It's going to be a 2-part series. The first part will be me identifying the civil and criminal causes of action that I can figure out against Tonka. And then the possible ones. I'm not saying they're good cases. I will figure out the possible ones, talk about the elements, and see if we can fit the facts to the elements. See if that's something that they could go for. And the second stream, I will do my best to defend Tonka against those accusations. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun to see how that issue plays out. And mainly because I think if this does go to court, it'll probably go to small claims court. So we'll do that. We'll figure that out though. We'll figure that out. So stay tuned. Come join me. If you have any suspicions on stuff, or you think you've got something that's nailed down, it would help me out if you DM that to me on Twitter, and I'd be happy to incorporate anything that might work into that video. So they're gonna be live, very interactive. They're gonna be long, rambling streams just like this one, because I think that's the best way to do that type of thing. Really kind of noodle through it. And then hopefully people can correct me on lore and stuff if I'm getting it wrong. But that's going to come. That might be tomorrow. Okay, at TZ Loy. Perfect. Thank you. I'll DM him right when we're done. So yeah, I think it'd be good to noodle through it. And if people can help me by like correcting me if I got a piece of the lore wrong, because you guys, I guarantee you, there are guys out there who know a lot more about the backstory than me. So helping me fill in those gaps will be great. That'll be fun. Good fun times. All right. Moving on from that for now. Keck7Go says, I get the feeling you're being sarcastic about Bronx, Nick. Also, what are we drinking today? Is the gin gone? The gin is not gone. Many gins. I have many gins. No, I started with some Jameson Black Barrel. Cask strength Jameson Black Barrel. That's my opening salvo today. That was again given to me by my good friend Stephen Birch. And I've got a little bit left. Bagel Goose says, just trying to get a new mask. Don't mind me. I don't, buddy. You try all you want. I hope it works. It doesn't always work. I think it's based on where my face is in the frame. And then Bagel Goose says, did you hear about the Valor chick that a Tonka follower threatened to put a $5,000 rape bounty on? I did. I saw her talking about it on her Twitch stream. And yeah, absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Whoever did that, don't do that. Um, Yidarb says, get some proper 12, bro. I've heard proper 12 is absolute garbage, and they just started selling it in my store. So that'll happen. That'll happen at some point soon. I'll do a review on it or something. Tillip says, Daddy, no! I had to say that a lot this weekend. Mithrin Emmer says, Tonka lied? Gasp. Fetch my smelling salts and fainting couch. Mithrin, could you tell from the interview? Mildly infuriating says they found a picture of one of the Coventry kids in blackface. Looks like they might need a blackface lawyer. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh. Never, they never miss a beat, do they? All right, on that note, let's dive into New York Times v. Sullivan. Oh, and Keck, I wasn't being sarcastic about Bronx. That guy's got the hardest position in the world. Try honestly going on Twitter, denying everything bad about communism and suggesting that it's the way forward. I mean, it's crazy. Crazy, man. Oh, and he's got to dodge all the shade. Because I don't know if his immune system can shrug off what's coming his way. Synopsis. So this is New York Times Company as the petitioner, L.B. Sullivan and Ralph D. Abernathy as petitioners versus L.B. Sullivan. Again, that's weird. A New York newspaper published an editorial advertisement communicating information, expressing opinion, reciting grievances, protesting claimed abuses, and seeking financial support on behalf of the Negro Right to Vote movement and the Negro Student Movement. This is done in honor of Martin Luther King Day. This case directly involves Martin Luther King. Well, directly, indirectly. Scoot back. Okay. I'll scoot back a bit. Hopefully this works for you, Bagel. So this involves Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This is from 1964. That's why we're doing this case today. It's also absurdly important in the realm of libel, and kind of lays out the public figure doctrine. We're going to talk about it. Okay. Let's see. Negro Student Movement. An elected commissioner of the city of Montgomery, Alabama, brought a civil libel action against the publisher of the newspaper and against Negro and Alabama clergymen whose names appeared in the advertisement. The Circuit Court, Montgomery County, Alabama, entered a judgment on a verdict awarding $500,000 to the plaintiff, and the defendants appealed. The Supreme Court of Alabama affirmed, and cert was granted. The Supreme Court, Mr. Justice Brennan, held that the rule of law applied by the Alabama courts was constitutionally deficient for failure to provide the safeguards for freedom of speech and of the press that are required by the First and 14th Amendments in a libel action brought by a public official against critics of his official conduct, and that under the proper safeguards, the evidence presented in the case was constitutionally insufficient to support the judgment for the plaintiff. Reversed and remanded for further proceedings. Mithrin Emmer says, that stream is a great example of using your questions to force a witness to reveal the contradictions in a story. Bravo, good sit, bravo. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Your mom's box says, can we take a minute to appreciate the frightening irony that the only thing saving these boys from complete and utter character assassination was a video from the piece of garbage black Israelite who's hurling racial and gay slurs at them. Isn't that amazing? That they have so thoroughly framed this, they being the media, have so thoroughly framed this conversation that the only thing saving them is a 2-hour raw video. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. All right. So I'm going to read through this opinion. Some of this is going to be kind of thick, guys. So I apologize. Are you wearing pants? And if so, why? Yes, I am wearing pants. I'm wearing pants to try and get, because I might have to stand up to get, you know, a top shelf whiskey. Zarther, yes. Yes. Short answer, yes, to your Eisenhorn question. Okay. Here we go. Opinion. Mr. Justice Brennan delivered the opinion of the court. We are required in this case to determine for the first time the extent to which the constitutional protections for speech and press limit a state's power to award damages in a libel action brought by a public official against critics of his official conduct. I'm also going to talk about why, spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about why New York Times versus Sullivan doesn't actually protect the press in the Covington case, and why that's good, and why pieces of garbage like S.E. Cup, Reza Aslan, I don't know, every journalist who talked about this might have to find a campfire and lay down on it. Because they got to put out the fire, right? What they got to do is they got to lubricate themselves with gasoline to stay cool and lay down on the fire to snuff it out. I think that's how it works. I don't know. They don't teach physics or chemistry in law school, but that's what I heard works. So maybe they should try it. Respondent L.B. Sullivan is one of the 3 elected commissioners of the city of Montgomery, Alabama. He testified that he was Commissioner of Public Affairs, and the duties are supervision of the police department, fire department, department of the cemetery, and department of scales. He brought this civil libel action against the 4 individual petitioners who are Negroes and Alabama clergymen, and against petitioner, the New York Times Company, a New York corporation which publishes the New York Times, a daily newspaper. The jury in the Circuit Court of Montgomery County awarded him damages of $500,000, full amount claimed, against all the petitioners, and the Supreme Court of Alabama affirmed. And if you guys don't know, 1964, there was something that was going on in the country called a lot of racism. And I know that it's hard to, how do I phrase this? It's kind of tough to talk about racism today, because racism today is so hyperbolic. We could talk, I have with some of you guys, talk about prejudices in the judicial system against blacks. I think there's lots of evidence that there are prejudices there, but even we can disagree on that, and that's okay today. In 1964, in Alabama, there can't really be disagreement. When you go back and look at the disparity between them, it wasn't like today where they're like, look, this Brock Turner guy in this one county in LA who wasn't charged with rape, but 2 crimes that are sexual assault, he pled out and got a 6-month sentence, where this other guy in a different county, in a different state, who was charged with rape, didn't take the plea, went to trial, and got sentenced to 8 years. Well, how's that fair? It must be white privilege. No, that's not the same thing, right? In Alabama in 1964, if you were black and you were going to trial, I mean, you're gonna lose unless it's against another black guy, like a darker black guy. There's a lot of evidence of that. So whatever your opinion on the current state of racial disparity in the country today, it's nothing. And this is my point. This is my point in all this. What was going on in the 60s isn't here, and they're having to dig into the abyss to find microaggressions, privilege. All these little buzzwords are all a created level of language that exists because an entire class of academia ejaculated out of the 60s and then grew up with the impression that the world didn't change with them, which is weird because the world definitely changed. But then they found out that if the world did change and actually was normal, like we all realize it to be, that they didn't have jobs or voices because they devoted their lives to something that was dying off one person at a time. So now we're left with these people with an education based on finding and exposing something that might not even really exist. And it's everywhere. Everywhere you go, you see it, of course. The media blowing something out of proportion, like a smirk. A smirk from a white kid in the face of a Native American somehow means that he's rubbing the smallpox into a blanket to kill this man's people. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So, okay. So here we go. Mithrin Emrys says, "Ooh, Justice, I've never found a compound complex sentence I didn't like Brennan. This will be fun. Confusing deciphering his syntax, but fun." Mithrin, you have to have read NYT versus Sullivan in your in con law. Farmerin says, "Could a black guy have won against a white guy in the 60s if he told the judge he was a white, so racist, he did everything in blackface?" That's the best way. The big, like, the Maury reveal, the black guy who's about to get the death sentence for raping a white woman when she asked for it, he like goes like this and, "I'm white." Suddenly they're like, "Whoa, drop all charges." Okay. All right, here we go. Respondent's complaint alleged that he had been libeled by statements in a full-page advertisement that was carried in the New York Times, March 29th, 1960. Entitled "Heed Their Rising Voices," the advertisement began by stating that, as the whole world knows by now, thousands of Southern Negro students are engaged in widespread nonviolent demonstrations in positive affirmation of the right to live in human dignity, as guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. It went on to charge that in their efforts to uphold these guarantees, they are being met by an unprecedented wave of terror by those who would deny and negate that document, which the whole world looks upon as setting the pattern for modern freedom. And wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if God Fox wishes she was dead Judge Ginsburg also agreed that the Constitution was the document we should look for modern freedom? Wouldn't it be great if one of our Supreme Court justices also believed that, instead of suggesting that you should look to horrifically racist South Africa's constitution? Wouldn't it be good? Wouldn't it be good if Ginsburg's peaceful sunset would finally end? Oh my gosh. Bronx! Bronx, you made it! I'm so happy that you made it, Bronx Blogger. Guys, Bronx is in the chat. All of the best to him for taking things wildly out of context. Wildly out of context. Good job, Bronx. Happy that you're here. All right. Let's see. It'll be interesting to see what Bronx thinks of this video. Not... This video is a bowl of oatmeal to Bronx. Okay. It went on to charge that in their efforts to uphold these guarantees, oh wait, I read that. They're being met by an unprecedented wave of terror by those who would deny and negate the document, which the whole world looks upon as setting the pattern for modern freedom. Succeeding paragraphs purported to illustrate the wave of terror by describing certain alleged events. The text concluded with an appeal for funds that for three purposes: support of the student movement, the struggle for the right to vote, and the legal defense of Dr. Martin Luther King, leader of the movement, against a perjury indictment then pending in Montgomery. Darth Bobcat says that's a lot of shoe polish. Rick Nikita says, FYI, you literally walked past Tim Loy a dozen times. I talked to Tim Loy. No. I talked to him. I know who he is. I talked to him. We had a good conversation. He seems like a nice guy. The text appeared over the names of 64 persons, many widely known for their activities in public affairs, religion, trade unions, and performing arts. Below these names, an underline reading, "We in the South who are struggling daily for dignity and freedom warmly endorse this appeal," appeared the names of the 4 individual petitioners and of 16 other persons, all but 2 of whom were identified as clergymen in various southern cities. The advertisement was signed at the bottom of the page by the Committee to Defend Dr. Martin Luther King. Oh, I inserted the doctor automatically. Martin Luther King and the struggle for freedom in the South. And the officers of the committee were listed. Of the 10 paragraphs of text in the advertisement, the 3rd and a portion of the 6th were the basis of respondents' claim of libel. They read as follows. 3rd paragraph. In Montgomery, Alabama, after students sang "My Country 'Tis of Thee" on the state capitol steps, their leaders were expelled from school, and truckloads of police armed with shotguns and tear gas ringed the Alabama State College campus. When the entire student body protested to state authorities by refusing to re-register, their dining hall was padlocked in an attempt to starve them into submission. 6th paragraph. Again and again, the Southern violators have answered Dr. King's peaceful protests with intimidation and violence. They have bombed his home, almost killing his wife and child. They've assaulted his person. They have arrested him 7 times for speeding, loitering, and similar offenses. I've never been arrested for speeding. That sounds pretty serious. And now they have charged him with perjury, a felony under which they could imprison him for 10 years. Yeah, Bagel Goose, I'm sorry that the masks are so weird. I think they might need to work on the software for it. Okay. Let's see. Although neither of these statements mentions respondents by name, he contended that the word police in the 3rd paragraph referred to him as a Montgomery commissioner who supervised the police department. Like, thank God this guy's not around when I say that the cops are horrible. Don't talk to them. So that he was being accused of ringing the campus with police. He further claimed that the paragraph would be read as imputing to the police and hints to him the padlocking of a dining hall in order to starve the students into submission. Now, I want to point out, that obviously the 3rd and 6th paragraphs are not libel. Obviously not. But again, in Alabama in 1963 or whenever the first case went through, they won. They won the libel suit, and the Alabama Supreme Court went ahead and stuck with it. That's how crazy it was. That's how scared Alabama was of Martin Luther King in the movement. And Malcolm X. They were scared of both the violent and the non-violent. And ultimately they lost. And, good. It was an unequal application of law. Really horrifying. As to the 6th paragraph, he contended that since arrests are ordinarily made by the police, the statement "they have arrested Dr. King 7 times" would be read as referring to him. He further contended, this guy reads into things more than the modern media does, right? He further contended that the "they" who did the arresting would be equated with the "they" who committed the other described acts and with the Southern violators. Isn't this funny? Because this is the New York Times now. The New York Times has now taken the role of Sullivan, where they know what's in the mind of the other person, and they stand as arbiter of what they must have meant. Thus, he argued the paragraph would be read as accusing the Montgomery police and hints him of answering Dr. King's protests with intimidation and violence, bombing his home, assaulting his person, and charging him with perjury. Respondent and 6 other Montgomery residents testified that they read some or all of the statements as referring to him in his capacity as commissioner. Oh, of course they did. Pixel Rush says, did you see that Fox News accidentally published RBG's obituary prematurely on their website? I almost popped the alcohol and prepped for the stream. Pixel Rush, let me give you a counterpoint. Was it premature? Or was it late? Oh my goodness. Oh, that poor dying lady. She should really resign from the Supreme Court and spend time with her family. Does RBG have a family? Hold on. It occurs to me that I don't know anything about her personal life. Oh, good. Guys, she's gonna have a cameo in the Lego movie too. Thank God. Oh, I was really worried that the Lego movie 2 wouldn't include Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Oh my goodness. Is she married? Born Joan Ruth Bader. So she must have married a Ginsburg. Let's see. And became a wife and mother before starting law school at Harvard, where she was one of the few women in her class. She transferred to Columbia, where she graduated tied for first in her class. Good job, Ginsburg. Following law school, she turned to academia, professor at Rutgers, blah, 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 blah. So she was a wife and mother, which makes it a little bit worse. Makes it all just a little bit worse. Jason Benaim says, you know they murdered X and tried to blame it on Islam. Oh my gosh. All right, back to it. Sorry for the digression. I just wanted to check and see if Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a mom before she, you know, such a lovely gem of a person. There's no more whiskey in there. I think we're going to have some gin in a minute. Okay. It is uncontroverted that some of the statements contained in the 2 paragraphs were not accurate descriptions of events which occurred in Montgomery. Although Negro students staged a demonstration on the state capitol steps, they sang the national anthem and not My Country 'Tis of Thee. Whew! Although 9 students were expelled by the State Board of Education, this was not for leading the demonstration at the Capitol, but for demanding service at a lunch counter in the Montgomery County Courthouse on another day. Now that's the expellable offense that we're looking for. We wouldn't want them, it's not the demonstration at the Capitol, it's literally the demonstration at the lunch counter in the Montgomery County Courthouse. Don't libel me, bro. Don't you libel me. We expelled those Negroes for the correct reason. Oh my gosh. I'm going to go with this Bid Street Gin. Bronx, you want that black mug? Why do you want the black mug? It's got a white handle. It doesn't even look good. It looks terrible. I think Teespring might be racist because all the colored mugs look ugly. Right? Is that how that works? I don't know. Okay. Here we go. Not the entire student body, but most of it had protested the expulsion, not by refusing to register, but by boycotting classes on a single day. Virtually all the students did register for the ensuing semester. The campus dining hall was not padlocked on any occasion. The only students who may have been barred from eating there were the few who had neither signed a pre-registration application nor requested temporary meal tickets. Although the police were deployed near the campus in large numbers on 3 occasions, they did not at any time ring the campus, and they were not called to the campus in connection with the demonstration on the state capitol steps, as the 3rd paragraph implied. Dr. King had not been arrested 7 times, only 4. Come on, let's be accurate. And although he claimed to have been assaulted some years earlier in connection with his arrest for loitering outside a courtroom, one of the officers who made the arrest denied that there was such an assault. And guys, if the cop says he didn't beat him, then the cop definitely didn't beat him. Whenever has a cop denied beating someone? Oh, whew. Thank you, Justice Brennan, for clearing that up. True American Hero says, does Bronx have AIDS because he's gay or because he's black? Well, I don't know if Bronx is gay or black. I don't know anything about him. Does Bronx actually have AIDS, or is that a meme? Does the Bronx have AIDS? I watched Rent. Is that in the Bronx? I don't know. I like Rent. Good flick. On the and show. On the premise that the charges in the 6th paragraph could be read as referring to him, respondent was allowed to prove that he had not participated in the events described. Although Dr. King's home had in fact been bombed twice when his wife and child were there, both of these occasions antedated respondent's tenure as commissioner, and the police were not only not implicated in the bombings, but had made every effort to apprehend those who were. 3 of Dr. King's 4 arrests took place before respondent became commissioner. Although Dr. King had in fact been indicted, he was subsequently acquitted on 2 counts of perjury, each of which carried a possible 5-year sentence. Respondent had nothing to do with procuring the indictment. That's interesting because it doesn't say that he had anything to do with it. So, good job. Hey, what's up, HH guy? Welcome to the show. Respondent made no effort to prove that he suffered actual pecuniary loss. That's money, losing money, as a result of the alleged libel. One of his witnesses, a former employer, testified that if he had believed the statements, he doubted whether he would want to be associated with anybody who would be party to such a thing that are stated in the ad. Sure. If I believed it, I doubt I would want to be associated. Oh my gosh. You gotta love 1960s Alabama court cases. They're absolutely honest. And that he would not re-employ a respondent if he believed that he allowed the police department to do the things that the paper says he did. But neither this witness nor any of the others testified that he actually believed the statements in their supposed reference to respondent. Cost of advertisement was approximately $4,800, proving that the New York Times was a ripoff even then. And it was published by the Times upon an order from a New York advertising agency acting for the signatory committee. The agency submitted the advertisement with a letter from A. Philip Randolph, chairman of the committee, certifying that the persons whose names appeared on the advertisement had given their permission. Mr. Randolph was known to the Times' advertising acceptability department as a responsible person, and accepting the letter as sufficient proof of authorization, it followed its established practice. Again, Valor, you may want to look at setting up an acceptability department and having sufficient proof of authorization in the future when you set up a YouTube grudge match, because you might be overlooking the fact that at least one in any match, in any fight of 2 YouTubers, at least one of them is an idiot. Okay. Mr. Randolph was known to the Times Oh, yeah. There was testimony that the copy of the advertisement which accompanied the letter listed only the 64 names appearing under the text, and that the statement, "We in the South warmly endorse this appeal," and the list of names thereunder, which included those of the individual petitioners, were subsequently added when the first proof of the advertisement was received. Each of the individual petitioners testified that he had not authorized the use of his name. Good job, New York Times, crapping the bed on that. And that he had been unaware of its use until receipt of respondent's demand for a retraction. The manager of the advertising acceptability department testified that he had approved the advertisement for publication because he knew nothing to cause him to believe that anything in it was false. He didn't have Snopes, guys. And because it bore the endorsement of a number of people who were well known and whose reputation he had no reason to question, neither he nor anyone else at the Times made an effort to confirm the accuracy of the advertisement. And they still don't, either by checking it against recent Times news stories relating to some of the described events or by any other means. So it's important to note that even in 1964, the New York Times didn't bother to check if their own newspaper had published contradictory facts about the alleged events. They just didn't even do that level of fact checking. So there you go. Catch you later, Yaidarb. I know my old poll is still up. I don't know how to get rid of it. Alabama law denies a public officer recovery of punitive damages in a libel action brought on account of a publication concerning his official conduct unless he first makes a written demand for a public retraction and the defendant fails or refuses to comply. Respondent served such a demand upon each of the petitioners. None of the individual petitioners responded to the demand, primarily because each took the position that he had not authorized use of his name on the advertisement and therefore had not published the statements that respondent alleged had libeled him. Times did not publish a retraction in response to the demand, but wrote respondent a letter stating, among other things, that we are somewhat puzzled as to how you think the statements in any way reflect on you. Well, yeah, I mean, he's not mentioned, doesn't say the commissioner, doesn't say anything about him. Let me, Ursa Major Nazi Mom. Hold on. You can email me there. Rekieta Law at rekieta.org is my public email address. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Okay. The Times did not publish a retraction in response to the demand, but wrote respondent a letter stating, among other things, that we are somewhat... Oh, wait, yeah. You might, if you desire, let us know in what respect you claim that the statements in the advertisement reflect on you. Respondent filed this suit a few days later without answering the letter. The Times did, however, subsequently publish a retraction of the advertisement upon the demand of Governor John Patterson of Alabama, who asserted that the publication charged him with grave misconduct and improper actions and omissions as governor of Alabama and ex officio chairman of the State Board of Education of Alabama. When asked to explain why there had been a retraction for the governor but not for respondent, the secretary of the Times testified, "We did that because we didn't want anything that was published by the Times to be a reflection on the state of Alabama, and the governor was, as far as we could see, the embodiment of the state of Alabama and the proper representative of the state. And furthermore, we had by that time learned more of the actual facts which the ad purported to recite, and finally, the ad did refer to the action of the state authorities in the Board of Education, presumably of which the governor is the ex officio chairman." On the other hand, he testified that he did not think that any of the language in there referred to Mr. Sullivan. There you go. There you go. The trial judge submitted the case to the jury under instructions that the statements in the advertisement were libelous per se and were not privileged, so that petitioners might be held liable if the jury found that they had published the advertisement and that the statements were made of and concerning respondent. But were they? They don't seem to be of or concerning the respondent at all. True American Hero says, why is dueling illegal? This isn't right. I think mutual combat should be legal. As for using guns to shoot each other, I don't know if that's right. Dueling should only be legal, like in a death match, if the weapons are so overly complicated that almost no one could do it. But that'd be great. That'd be great. Let's see. The jury was instructed that because the statements were libelous per se, the law implies legal injury from the bare fact of publication itself. We've talked about this on the channel. If you accuse someone of a heinous crime, like let's say that you're a cripple in a wheelchair who can't come to fights, and you say that someone else is a pedophile, that would be libel per se, because the mere act of accusing someone of sexually assaulting a minor would be an accusation of a serious crime of moral turpitude. And if it were not true, it would be libelous per se, because it's impossible to gauge the amount of damage that accusation does. So you don't have to prove damages. Okay, implies legal injury from the bare fact of publication itself. Falsity and malice are presumed. General damages need not be alleged or proved, but are presumed, and punitive damages may be awarded by the jury even though the amount of actual damages is neither found nor shown. They don't like per se libel, guys. An award of punitive damages, as distinguished from general damages, which are compensatory in nature, apparently requires proof of actual malice under Alabama law, and the judge charged that mere negligence or carelessness is not evidence of actual malice or malice in fact, and does not justify an award of exemplary or punitive damages. It's important to remember that this was before they laid out the malice requirement for a public figure. That's what's happening in this case. So they're going to go ahead and borrow that little bit of Alabama law, and instead of applying it generally just to per se libel, they're going to apply it specifically to public figures that they have to prove actual malice. It's an interesting take. They take it from the Alabama court, twist it a little bit, and reapply it in a way that they think better fits the Constitution. I think it's a good change, in all honesty. All right. An award of An award of punitive damages, as distinguished from general damages, which are compensatory in nature, apparently requires proof of actual malice under Alabama law, and the judge charged that mere negligence or carelessness is not evidence of actual malice or malice in fact, and does not justify an award of exemplary or punitive damages. He refused to charge, however, that the jury must be convinced of malice in the sense of actual intent or harm or gross negligence and recklessness to make such an award, and he also refused to require that a verdict for a respondent differentiate between compensatory and punitive damages. The judge rejected petitioner's contention that his rulings abridge the freedom of speech and of the press that are guaranteed by the First and 14th Amendments. They, of course, absolutely did. Libel, by its very nature, does abridge your free speech. It does abridge your free speech. Because what is an actual lie? What? What is an actual lie is sometimes hard to distinguish between what's a lie and what's just someone being stupid. Oh, Real Lady Rackets, what do you want? Are you you're sending jokes? Oh my gosh. Hold on. Okay, Real Lady Rackets. I will set up a separate chat window just to watch for your jokes, right? Okay? Because that's how much I love you. Even though you love a horrific racist and Bronx blogger will never understand, I love you. So, all right. Now I will watch for any future jokes from Lady Rackets. Okay. In affirming the judgment, the Supreme Court of Alabama sustained the trial judge's ruling and instructed in all respects. It held that, and instructions in all respects. It held that where the words published tend to injure a person libeled by them in his reputation, profession, trade, or business, or charge him with an indictable offense, or tends to bring the individual into public contempt, they are libelous per se, that the matter complained of is, under the above doctrine, libelous per se if it was published of and concerning the plaintiff, and that it was actionable without proof of pecuniary injury, such injury being implied. It approved the trial court's ruling that the jury could find the statements to have been made of and concerning respondent, stating, listen for this, this'll be good. We think it is common knowledge that the average person knows that municipal agents such as police and firemen and others are under the control and direction of the city governing body, and more particularly under the direction and control of a single commissioner. In measuring, because everybody knows who their police commissioner is at all times. Like, yeah, certainly everybody does. Certainly. And more particularly under the direction and control of a single commissioner, in measuring the performance or deficiencies of such groups, praise or criticism is usually attached to the official in complete control of the body. Literally not true. Alabama Supreme Court is clear, like they're making this up. They're making this up to reach a support for the verdict, right? Like, let's be honest here. In sustaining the trial court's determination that the verdict was not excessive, the court said that malice could be inferred from the Times' irresponsibility in printing the advertisement, while the Times in its own files had articles already published which would have demonstrated the falsity of the allegations in the advertisement. That's a good point. Times should have fact-checked it. That said, I still think this all hinges on, does it even talk about the public official? I don't think so. Not at all. I like the Spikeman says, for the mad lad of law, champion of First Amendment, crippler of slander and libel, crusher of oxyberries and racism. Thank you. I like the Spikeman. Cheers to you, good buddy. Real Lady Raggeds, you better not super chat jokes to me. You better not. Okay. Where are we? Oh, yeah. From the Times' failure to retract for respondent while retracting for the governor, whereas the falsity of some of the allegations was then known to the Times and the matter contained in the advertisement was equally false as to both parties, and from the testimony of the Times secretary that, apart from the statement that the dining hall was padlocked, he thought the two paragraphs were substantially correct. Yeah. The question is, well, whatever. Nurax, hey, what's up, buddy? Yes, Bronx is boring. Bronx is boring. The court reaffirmed a statement in an earlier opinion that there is no legal measure of damages in cases of this character. It rejected petitioners. Bronx, remember that. Remember that. When you're out there accusing people of things that they didn't do because your AIDS-riddled brain or whatever it is decides that they must be racist or they must be doing something, that at some level, if someone were to sue you and your intuition about what they meant by a particular action might not be sufficient and it might get you in trouble. Buddy, I'm looking out for you. Just stop accusing people of things online because you're just so vanilla and uninteresting. Anyway. It rejected petitioners' constitutional contentions with the brief statement that, quote, the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution does not protect libelous publications, and, quote, the 14th Amendment is directed against state action and not private action. Because the importance of the constitutional issues involved, we granted the separate petitions for cert of the individual petitioners and of the Times. We reversed the judgment. We hold that the rule of law applied by the Alabama courts is constitutionally deficient, and of course it was, for failure to provide the safeguards for freedom of speech and of the press that are required by the First and 14th Amendments in a libel action brought by a public official against critics of his official conduct. Sidebar to this, when you're looking at any Supreme Court case, this is the hardest thing to do in constitutional law. Not the hardest thing to do. The hardest thing to train your mind to do is to find the very, very, very specific question that the case is answering. If the Supreme Court is granting cert and then issuing an opinion, there's a very specific, highly focused perspective that it wants to convey or that it wants to comment on. These are not these broad sweeping allegations that we tend to get from the news. By the way, the New York Times sucks equally at reporting on matters of law as it does on reporting on everything else. So when they tell you what a Supreme Court case means, they're usually wrong unless they're quoting the Supreme Court. And here is your hint. Because the Supreme Court, it's better than a hint. It talks about the exact thing. Here we go. Let's see. The rule of law applied by the Alabama courts is constitutionally deficient. Why? Failure to provide the safeguards for freedom of speech in the press that are required by the 14th and First Amendments in a libel action brought by a public official against critics of his official conduct. If you don't have those 4 things, you don't have New York Times versus Sullivan. Okay? Libel actions outside of those 4 criteria don't fall within New York Times versus Sullivan. Now, you may use New York Times versus Sullivan to persuade and make a public policy argument. That's fine. That's all good. That's great. But if you're trying to use New York Times versus Sullivan as a nail in the coffin, you better hit those 4 criteria. It's limited to those 4 criteria. If it doesn't involve a public figure, get out. Get out. If you're criticizing a public figure on his sex life rather than his official capacities, get out. It's not useful for that. If you see some idiot online talking about New York Times versus Sullivan says public figures, blah, 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 get out. Now, this is public figures in their official capacity. At this time, we didn't have Twitter, so there's not a bunch of idiots running around with 100K Twitter followers thinking they're important. We don't know if this public figure doctrine necessarily applies to internet personalities. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. There's not a lot of case law on it. We're talking about elected or appointed official government positions. Those are the public figures we're talking about in NYT. Okay? So, there you go. Rick Rekieta says, my name is Nick Rekieta and I support redistribution of wealth and communism. No! No! Ah! Guys, I'm going to delete my channel faster than Tonka deleted the Kumite. No! No! All right. So you have to have that. It's very important to narrow down a Supreme Court case. So you don't go like, look at the gay wedding cakes case and be like, see, they just love religion so much that they decided that the cake maker doesn't have to bake the cakes for the gays. Wrong. You got to read that opinion very specifically because it's narrowly crafted. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. All right. We further hold that under the proper safeguards, the evidence presented in this case is constitutionally insufficient to support the judgment for respondent. We may dispose at the outset of 2 grounds asserted to insulate the judgment of the Alabama courts from constitutional scrutiny. First is a proposition relied on by the state Supreme Court that the 14th Amendment is directed against state action, not private action. Excuse me. That proposition has no application to this case. Although this is a civil lawsuit between private parties, the Alabama courts have applied a state rule of law which petitioners claim to impose invalid restrictions on their constitutional freedoms of speech and press. It matters not that the law has been applied in a civil action and that it is common law only, though supplemented by statute. The test is not the form in which state power has been applied, but whatever the form, whether such power has in fact been exercised. Thank you, 14th Amendment, for applying to all state action so that free speech must be applied even at the state level. The second contention is that the constitutional guarantees of freedom of speech and of the press are inapplicable here, at least so far as the Times is concerned, because the allegedly libelous statements were published as part of a paid commercial advertisement. Guys, shocker, commercial speech is protected, is still protected. Here we go. The argument relies on Valentine versus Trestenson, where the court held that a city ordinance forbidding street distribution of commercial and business advertising matter did not abridge the First Amendment freedoms, even as applied to a handbill having a commercial message on one side but a protest against certain official action on the other. The reliance is wholly misplaced. We definitely didn't mean that when we said it. The court in Trestenson reaffirmed the constitutional protection for the freedom of communicating information and disseminating opinion. Its holding was based upon the factual conclusions that the handbill was purely commercial advertising. The protest against official action had been added only to evade the ordinance. I've actually talked about this case in my Marsh versus Alabama video, I believe, very briefly, because Valentine versus Trestenson you had a commercial message on the front and then a political message barely even related, if it was related at all, I can't even remember, to the commercial message. Commercial message was not free speech related in that case. The free speech message had nothing to do with the commercial speech, or not enough to do with it to make it, a significant protest. Whereas here, the commercial message isn't actually a commercial message. It's an advertisement, which makes it commercial, but the message is overtly political and protest based. Completely different cases. Again, important to narrow down the very specific nature of a particular case, or else Justice Brennan, oh God, being dunked on by Brennan that's like being dunked on by a 5 foot, I don't know, 5 foot basketball player. I guess I'll just end it there, because anything else I say would be offensive. Bagel Goose says, my name is Nick Rekieta and I love large breasts and capitalism. Yeah, buddy, me too. Wait, that is me. Yes. My name is Nick Rekieta and I approve this message. The publication here was not a commercial advertisement in the sense in which that's what I was just saying. In the sense in which the word was used in Trestenson. It communicated information, expressed opinion, recited grievances, protested claims and claimed abuses, and sought financial support on behalf of a movement whose existence and objectives are matters of the highest public interest and concern. So again, the fact that something is paid doesn't make it commercial. The nature of the message is what's going to make it commercial. Now, commercial speech is still protected. However, it is a reduced protection from political or religious speech. Political and religious speech being the two highest protected speeches under the First Amendment. Commercial speech being slightly less protected, although still protected. The level of scrutiny applied gets reduced a bit. I like the Spike Man says, do the MAGA kids have good legal standing after this weekend's poop show on them by the black nationalists and the natives who lied about the children? If we have time, if I'm cognizant enough, we're gonna go through Native Joe. I don't remember his name. The native guy, the drum guy. We're gonna go through his statement to CNN. CNN, arbiter of truth and unbiased opinion, unbiased statements of fact. We're gonna go through their statement, their interview with him, and talk about that because unfortunately, I don't think he libels anybody because his interview is so absolutely disconnected from reality. And it sounds like talking to someone who's been broken by something. It's so disjointed and messy. That Real Lady Rackets, I'm going to read it in a second. I like you. It's so disjointed and messy that it needs that it can't even be libel because it's ridiculous. Real Lady Racket says, at Rekieta Law, you better start a GoFundMe for my breasts then after 5 kids. So guys, apparently, Nathan Phillips is his name. Thank you. Apparently, Lady Rackets and I are going to have to start a GoFundMe for breast augmentation for Lady Rackets so that capitalism can come full swing and I can have a large-breasted Lady Rackets. So there you go. I missed a super chat from Darth Bobcat. I did? Thank you. Oh, yes, I did. He asked, this is 16 minutes ago, wouldn't Trump have an easy time proving malice? Yeah. So the way malice works in these lawsuits, in a libel lawsuit against a public official, actual malice is knowledge of the falsity combined with an intent or a reckless disregard, an intent to communicate the falsity and or a reckless disregard for the truth. Man, they've been getting away with a lot of it. The bigger the public figure, the more leeway they get, the president being the biggest. It's really hard for a president and really bad optics for a president to sue the press. But But notice he was able to win in a libel action against Stormy Daniels. Or in a reverse libel action. So, there is that. There is that. Thank you. Jonathan Doe, literally, what are you reading? New York Times versus Sullivan, one of the most important cases in the 20th century on libel and public figures. Darkman McEdgeface says, space belongs to the space noids. Char never betrayed anyone. The colony drop was justified. Hail Zeon! There you go. And KTTK says, Sopa de Macaco Uma Delicia. I have a feeling I just said something highly offensive in Spanish. Darth Bobcat, I just got yours. And Thanos EVS says pie. Pie. Okay. The Coke Master says F the optics. F the optics. Yes, but he is trying to win re-election in 2020. If Trump wins in 2020, I have no idea what the lame duck presidency is going to say. It could be hilarious. It could be absolutely hilarious. AWIG81003 says, on behalf of chat, I will say chat approves of a big titty chat wife. And Jiro1 says chipping in. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for chipping in. I appreciate it. Hey, Jira. DM me, buddy. Somehow. Get a hold of me. Xeon. That was, Xeon is, that's Gundam, right? Gunran. Dick Eats Asserson says, did I hear a Brennan? Like from Step Brothers. This is Justice Brennan. Justice Brennan. All right, here we go. Back to the document. Okay. That the Times was paid for publishing the advertisement is as immaterial in this connection as is the fact that newspapers and books are sold. Oh, brutal. Brutal. Any other conclusion would discourage newspapers from carrying editorial advertisements of this type, and so might shut off an important outlet for the promulgation of information and ideas by persons who do not themselves have access to publishing facilities, who wish to exercise their freedom of speech even though they are not members of the press. The effect would be to shackle the First Amendment in its attempt to secure the widest possible dissemination of information from diverse and antagonistic sources. To avoid placing such a handicap, rip Tonka, upon the freedoms of expression, we hold that if the allegedly libelous statements would otherwise be constitutionally protected from the present judgment, they do not forfeit that protection because they were published in the form of a paid advertisement. Yes. Good. 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 Under Alabama law, as applied in this case, a publication is libelous per se if the words, quote, tend to injure a person in his reputation or to bring him into the public contempt. The trial court stated that the standard was met if the words are such as to, quote, injure him in his public office or impute misconduct to him in his office or want of official integrity or want of fidelity to a public trust. The jury must find that the words were published, quote, of and concerning the plaintiff, but where plaintiff is a public official, his place in the governmental hierarchy is sufficient evidence to support a finding that his reputation has been affected by statements that reflect upon the agency of which he is in charge. Okay. Whoa. Lot of mouthful there, Brennan, which I'm sure you're used to. Black Goat says, what does Nick and the Covington kids have in common? They both know how to deconstruct a Native American's narrative and prove they are lying. Oh, rip. Hessian says, towards big tits and the wonderful Rackets family. Thank you, Hessian. I appreciate it, buddy. The gin is down. The gin is down. Is down. Okay. Where are we? Okay, yeah. So what they're saying is under Alabama law, if it's a public figure, their reputation is automatically imputed by a libelous statement. Sort of sounds like the Alabama Supreme Court was a bunch of statist bootlicks. Me. The jury and oh god, how many people out there? Raise your hand if you love the state. Just love the state. Bronx, that hand better be up. Get it out of your pants and straight in the air. You just statist pile of trash. The jury must find the words were published of and concerning the plaintiff, but where the plaintiff is a public official, his place in the governmental hierarchy is sufficient evidence to support a finding that his reputation has been affected by a statement that reflects upon the agency of which he is in charge. Once libel per se has been established, the defendant has no defense as to stated facts unless he can persuade the jury that they were true in all their particulars. His privilege of fair comment for expressions of opinion depends on the truth of the facts upon which the comment is based. Unless he can discharge the burden of proving truth, general damages are presumed. This is an interesting case as well because proving truth. Oh. Yeah. Very important to prove truth. Crackbot says, how's your liver doing after Knoxville? Pretty well, buddy. It's doing pretty well. I probably didn't drink as much as I was going to. Here we go. Sorry. Unless he can... Yeah. General damages are presumed may be awarded without proof of pecuniary injury. Showing of actual malice is apparently a prerequisite to recovery of punitive damages. The defendant may, in any event, forestall a punitive award by a retraction meeting the statutory requirements. Good motives and belief in truth do not negate an inference of malice, but are relevant. Relevant only in mitigation of punitive damages if the jury chooses to accord them weight. Is taxation theft? Of course taxation is theft. Of course. Hessian says, when can we legally consider communists to be coming right at us? I don't know. I saw a communist today suggest that the children at from the Covington Academy, and guys, we know the reality, right? Let me get real with you. The Covington Academy kids are extra targeted because Brett, the penis in the face Kavanaugh, Brett the rapist Kavanaugh, the lady slayer, Brett Laser Eyes Kavanaugh went to that school, right? He's alumnus of Covington Academy, isn't he? Isn't that what I read? I don't even know anymore. But I think that might have something to do with it. But they want to go after Kavanaugh so hard because they're so mad that a bunch of people came up and lied about it, and he got mad. He got mad that people were lying about him. He got mad that a bunch of Democrats bought a fake story from Michael Avenatti. He got mad that Michael Avenatti got trolled by 4chan. All of that. Yeah. Hey, Avenatti, how are those lawsuits going, buddy? Prescient, my friend. Let's just check. F it. We're doing it live. Brett mother effing Kavanaugh. Let's see. Did Kavanaugh go to the same place? I don't know if that's true. Georgetown Preparatory School. Maybe not. Where did I read that? Let's see. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see. Oh gosh, I don't know. Maybe I just read that wrong. Okay, hold on, guys, for just a second. So I typed in Kavanaugh Covington, okay? Just so you know. I'm going to let you go through some of this. Hold on. Again, I don't know if that's actually... here we go. Let me pause. There we go. Kavanaugh. Look at this. BuzzFeed again. Culture writer compares Covington student to Kavanaugh. BuzzFeed editor says Brett Kavanaugh is a lot like that Covington student. Reminder, people complaining about the so-called Covington shame are also the same people who support blah, 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 blah. Who cares? Who cares? Brett Kavanaugh was a bad teenager. Good job, the American lawyer. Thanks for the hot take, buddy. I don't know if he went to Covington Catholic and House Social. That's Examiner. That doesn't even count. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Oh, let's get this back. There we go. Get that back better. I read that somewhere, but it looks like he went somewhere else. So maybe they were just wrong. Maybe I just read it wrong. They're both Catholic schools. Well, we all know that Catholic schools are the worst, right? Like that's a true thing. That's true. We don't want Catholic students. We don't want Catholic schools because Catholic schools might have some hate. All right, back to this. Whew, you got me sidetracked. Let's see. While I'm sidetracked, let me hit these chats. Gojirify says, how did you end up at Doug's? Doug invited me to come to his house. He heard I was flying into Nashville. I was on his stream when he was illustrating inking some of his last pages for Bigfoot Bill. And guys, support Doug TeNaples' work. The man's a genius. Fantastic. So when I was talking to him, I said, yeah, I'm flying into Nashville. Would you like to grab a drink? He said, do you have anywhere to stay in Nashville? I said, well, no. We were either going to stay somewhere or we were going to head to Knoxville. He says, nonsense, you're staying at my house. That's how I ended up at Doug's. He invited me. Very, very lovely family. And I appreciate it very much. I hope he can come visit me sometime and I can extend the same hospitality back to him. Okay. Dick Eats Asserson says, let's see how many N-bombs Mr. Rick Rekieta drops. Yeah, Rick Rekieta can drop N-bombs all day. I am not him. Andrew Gluck says, Brett Hitman Kavanaugh, the excellence of execution. Cormoran says, some BuzzFeed nut compared Kavanaugh to Covington students. That must be what I saw. That must be what I saw. Okay, here we go. Where are we? Okay, so here's the last line I remember reading, and I'm going to go back to it. Unless he can discharge the burden of proving truth, general damages are presumed and may be awarded without proof of pecuniary injury. Showing of actual malice is apparently a prerequisite to recovery of punitive damages, and the defendant may, in any event, forestall a punitive award by retraction, meeting the statutory requirements. Good motives and belief in the truth do not negate an inference of malice, but are relevant only in mitigation of punitive damages if the jury chooses to accord them weight. Question before us is whether the rule of liability, as applied to an action brought by a public official against critics of his official conduct, abridges the freedom of speech and of the press that is guaranteed by the First and 14th Amendments. Lady Rackets, I apologize for whispering. Okay. Respondent relies heavily, as did the Alabama courts, on statements of this court to the effect that the Constitution does not protect libelous publications. Hack the movies. Hey, buddy, what's up? Hey, we need to do another show. Says, I went to Catholic school for 12 years. It's mostly a scam run by weirdos. Just my experience, though. Yeah, absolutely. Scams all around. Everything's a scam. Homeschool your kids. There you go. But welcome to the show, Hack the Movies. We need to do another show. That was a lot of fun, the Halloween show. And guys, if you haven't watched it, I was on Hack the Movies. I offered a defense of Michael Myers. Fun times. That was in honor of the anniversary of Halloween. Go check it out and also watch his show. He's a good guy. I think you missed some Justice chats. I did not. Oh, okay. I did miss one. Keck7 Go says, Lady Rackets is perfect as she is. Nick is lucky to have turned gay for her. She is perfect as she is. Absolutely. But I will say that making Lady Rackets happy is a primary motive in my life. And if Lady Rackets needs to be the large-breasted Chad wife of chat, then, well, we'll have to make it happen at some point. Respondent relies heavily, as did the Alabama courts, on statements of this court to the effect that the Constitution does not protect libelous publications. Those statements do not foreclose our inquiry here. None of the cases sustain the use of libel laws to impose sanctions upon expression of critical of the official conduct of public officials. The dictum, focus on dictum, in Pennekamp versus Florida, that, quote, when the statements amount to defamation, a judge has such remedy in damages for libel as do other public servants, implied no view as to what remedy might constitutionally be afforded to public officials. Dictum, or dicta, is the plural of dictum, means statements made in a court case, in this case, statements made in a court case that are not part of the actual decision. They're not part of the actual decision. They're just a judge's expository thoughts that don't have any authority to them. But they can be useful and persuasive if they give an opinion of the court that someone else is. Real Lady Racket says, don't apologize, you weirdo. I was joking. Even Lady Rackets knows, never apologize. Never apologize. All Out of Bubblegum says, the moment that I found out about the Covington Catholic kids, the first thing that popped in my head were those lacrosse players getting accused of rape just because of status. Yes. And all of them, after their lives were sufficiently ruined, were eventually cleared. Andrew Gluck says, Drexel Toads win. Drexel will be on the stream as soon as he can be out here. I think that Tonka interview increased the amount of subscribers by an unpredicted amount. Many more than I thought were coming. So the 15K benchmark that I was going for got blown out of the water. Thank you so much if you're new to the show. And please tell your friends to join as well. But I will have Drexel on for the 15K subscribers special as soon as we can. We will be talking toxic masculinity, and also probably making fun of fat girls. And Bronx Blogger. I'll introduce him to Bronx Blogger maybe. Let's see. In Beauharnais versus Illinois, the court sustained an Illinois criminal libel statute as applied to a publication held to be both defamatory of a racial group and liable to cause violence and disorder, but the court was careful to note that it retains and exercises authority to nullify action which encroaches on freedom of utterance under the guise of punishing libel. For public men are, as it were, public property. Oh, they still thought men are property in Chicago. Good job. And discussion cannot be denied, and the right as well as the duty of criticism must not be stifled. In the only previous case that did present the question of constitutional limitations upon the power to award damages for libel of a public official, court was equally divided and the question was not decided. That's in Schenectady, Union Publication Company versus Sweeney. In deciding the question now, we are compelled by neither precedent nor policy to give any more weight to the epithet libel than we have other mere labels of state law. That's NAACP versus Button. like insurrection, contempt, advocacy of unlawful acts, breach of the peace, obscenity, solicitation of legal businesses, and various other formulae for the repression of expression that have been challenged in this court, libel can claim no talismanic immunity from constitutional limitations, must be measured by standards that satisfy the First Amendment. Okay, let me break that down because this matters so much. Just because a legislature, a government jackboot thug, decides to label a particular level of speech, or a newscast decides to call something some wrongthink, doesn't mean it's not protected. If you want to Sieg Heil down the road, I guess go ahead. It doesn't matter that they call it alt-right, that they call it neo-Nazi, that they call it racist. It doesn't matter. The First Amendment still applies. Hitler still gets an attorney, right? It doesn't matter that the Bronx blogger is too stupid to understand that someone can be of a different mindset than him. That someone might not spend their entire day looking for the one overburnt flake of oatmeal and calling that one racist. It doesn't matter. It never matters how offensive your speech is. It matters if it causes damage because it's a lie. It matters if you're trying to get someone murdered right now, not later. In fact, you generally can advocate for the death of another person so long as you're not trying to incite an instant action. I don't recommend it. It might be legally complicated for you to do so, but it doesn't matter ever. Doesn't matter. Okay? So if you want to go ahead and you want to go and like kill all whiteys, I guess, Brandenburg versus Ohio. You can sit there. The Hebrew Israelites, right? The black nationalist Hebrew Israelites can sit there and say, hang the gays, or whatever they were saying, whatever horrific thing they came up with. They could sit there and say it all day and have anybody lost that Jonathan Phillips, right? The Native American guy is talking about. I can't believe this is being glossed. The Hebrew Israelites, who are notoriously terrible people, are standing there shouting homophobic slurs, right? And all sorts of things. And Super Saint Native American drummer man says the white students from the Catholic Academy were offended by what they were saying and disagreed with their opinions. And oh my gosh, I have to pull it up. Guys, wait for it. That's a Hamilton reference. Let's see. Nathan Phillips. I'm going to pull this up. I got to take a break from you, Brennan. You're also the most boring person I've ever read. Look at the teeth on this guy. Holy cats. No wonder that kid was smiling in his face. I'm going to pull it up. Guys, I'm heated up now. I'm getting pissed off. Apologize. Here we go. Look at that. Epitome of beauty. Right there. People who lose teeth are degenerate. Just fake teeth. Joke. It's a joke. Here we go. Let's read this. Let's read. Who wrote this? Sarah Sidner. Oh Lord. Guys, she fills up the whole thing. Sorry. Here we go. Sarah Sidner. Here's a transcript of Phillips's interview, because we're not going to watch it. We're going to read it. I don't care what he has. I don't want to listen to that guy. Which has been lightly edited for flow and content. Thank you, Sarah, for condescendingly editing the native man to make him sound more white. For your your journalistic sensibilities were offended by his inability to communicate. I guess that's what you're saying there, right? That's how the media would spin this. Tell us what happened. This is CNN. Tell us what happened. What transpired between you and the young people who were all standing around you? How did you end up surrounded by this group of young people with the MAGA hats on? Phillips. I'm not going to read it in the Tonka voice, guys. I'm not that drunk, but I want to. There was a Listen to how this guy talks. Like, oh my gosh, lay off the LSD. There was a disturbance there on the Lincoln Monument grounds. We were finishing up with Indigenous Peoples March and rally, and there were some folks there that were expressing their First Amendment rights there. Freedom of speech. That's the Hebrew Israelites. And yes, they have freedom of speech. But remember who's talking about this and where the Hebrew Israelites fall on the progressive stack against a bunch of white children. Listen to this. Listen to this. Then there was this young group of young students that came up there and were offended by their speech. And it escalated into an ugly situation that I found myself in the middle of. Yeah, I found myself in the middle of it. Sort of woke up to it. Woke up. Were you walking around asleep? Oh my gosh. Put it down. Peace pipe. Guys, the Catholic kids were offended by horrifically racist Hebrew Israelites. Hebrew Israelites. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Maybe they'll talk about it. You've read what they were saying, right? Let me see. Let's see. Hold on. I'm looking for what they were saying. Oh, I can't even read it. I'm going to have to read it. In the interest of journalism, I'm going to have to read it. YouTube, don't demonetize me for reading the words of the Hebrew Israelites, okay? This is a statement by Sandman, who Reza Aslan has advocated violence against because Reza Aslan is a piece of trash who should catch on fire. All right, here we go. In a statement released on Sunday, Sandman insisted he was trying to be the peacemaker. When we arrived, we noticed 4 African-American protesters who were also on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, Sandman said in a statement published by WKRC, a local media outlet. I did hear them direct derogatory insults at our school group. They called us racist, bigots, white crackers, faggots, and incest kids. They were expressing their First Amendment rights, and these white Catholics disagreed. Dear Lord. Are we serious? Are we serious? Okay, back to it. Don't forget, Reza Aslan is a cannibal. He ate brains to prove how progressive he was. Yes, he did. Reza Aslan is hot garbage. Bagel Goose masked me and said, I thought your friend knew Cucks. Pause blogger probably has him on speed dial already. Oh, wrecked. Ryan English says, do your kids ever ask mommy why daddy stays up all night drinking and screaming at the ceiling? No. I don't think so. Not yet. Not yet. Here we go. You just sort of decided to try and stop this, or at least have an impact on it. Calm the waters, is that right? Why did he go to the white kids? Why did he go to the students? Why didn't he go to the black guys calling them horrific, racist insults? Phillips, yes, that's the impression. Listen, again, that's the impression that everybody has. And I guess that's what I was doing. Are you sure? Do you know what you were doing? Or is that a convenient narrative that you just laid out? Oh my gosh. Good job, CNN. Good job. And I know Lady Rackets doesn't like this, but good job putting that guy's nutsack right in his mouth and not asking the follow-up question. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. You guess that's what you were doing? What do you mean you guess? What were you actually doing? Here he goes. I didn't realize that's what I was doing. Not until it became really, really beneficial for your narrative, right? That's when you realized that's what you were doing? When someone else decided that's what you were doing based on their perspective? Because I don't know. I don't know why you're not in your own head. You literally don't know. When I started taking those steps and using the drum, it was just spur of the moment. So you're just going to confront a bunch of high school kids for no reason that you could understand or articulate, and only later did this narrative suit you and CNN and everybody else. Got it. Thank you for clearing that up. Peace be upon you. Pixel Rush says, Ayo, hold up, hold up, hold up. So you be saying that we was some Finnakangs and Shiite? That's right. Yeah, there you go. Bagel Goose says money for using the fun word. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. But it was just, what do you want to do? What do you do now? Here's a moment where something that's really ugly in our society, in America, something that's just coming to a boiling point, as they say. Does that make sense? No! It literally doesn't make sense. She says sure. She doesn't say yes. Guys, watch me interview people. I say sure all the time. Sure. It doesn't actually mean anything because, no, your lines don't make sense. You didn't know what you were doing. Now you guess that's what you were doing. Why? Because Great Spirit led you to? No, because it became convenient for the narrative and the march that you were associated with to not be stupid. And the fact that you went to the kids, the children who are being called racist, who are being called derogatory gay slurs, being called bigots, who are being derided for their religious beliefs or their status as white people, who a bunch of avowed black racists who literally don't like white people or Jews. Some of the worst anti-Semites are the Hebrew Israelites. Some of the worst people on earth are the Hebrew Israelites, are sitting there saying racist things, and you didn't go to them. Why? Were you scared because they're black? Mr. Phillips, are you racist? Instead, you went to the safe white kids with chaperones rather than the loud, boisterous black men? Is that what we have to infer? Bronx, where are you at, Bronx? Where are you on this? Because it kind of looks like Nathan Phillips might be really racist. Are you gonna call him out on it? I don't know where he is on the commie stack, Bronx. Where are you? You're calling the white kids racist for responding to the derogatory homosexual slurs. Does it offend you, Bronx, that the black guys who are racist, by the way, and also hate gays, they literally hate gays and advocate stoning and burning them, Bronx? Are you still on the side of the black nationalists who hate gays and advocate killing you, Bronx? You still on their side? Or are you on the side of white kids who are like, hey, we're not racist? Because they did the, right? Because they did that? Because they did the thing they do at every Atlanta Braves game? Is that why you're on their side, you idiot? I like the Spike Man says, Reza is a cannibal communist, promotes hateful ideologies, and multiple times has called for the erasure of Native Europeans and white Americans. I'm not a white nationalist, but gosh darn, I understand why they exist. Real Lady Racket says, as long as they shave their nutsack, I guess it's okay. Why do you keep calling me out when you say sexual things? Well, you know why, lady. You know why. And Mark Henegler says, Nick is drunk. Sure. No. I can't fight Pause Blogger. He can't pass a blood test. Captain Wrong Think. Dick Eats Asserson says, you guys see Medicare's Tonka analysis? It's amazing. Yes. Really fantastic. Really fantastic. Okay. Sure. So you're some sort of in between. You're sort of in between these groups. Yes. Yes. What happened? What is it like standing there? When my young friend that came up there and said, let's hit the drum, because there's a point where it just really got to really a crescendo. I think they say it sometimes, but it was like the thunder. The storm was coming. What? What are you talking about? What did it feel like that you were witnessing? Oh, what I was witnessing was just hate. Question mark? Racism? Question mark? Well, hate. What I'm saying is that when these folks came there, these other folks were saying their piece. And these others, they got offended with it because they're both just expressing their own views. And if it's racism, that's what it was, because the folks that were having their moment there, they were saying things that I don't know if I agreed with them or not, but some of it was educational. Nathan Phillips is learning about killing gays, right? That's what Nathan Phillips is learning about from the Hebrew Israelites. And it was truth, and it was history about religious views and ideologies. I mean, kind of. That's not how they sell it. They say that we should go back to that. But these other folks, the young students, they couldn't see it. They just couldn't see it. The white Catholic MAGA kids just couldn't see why killing the gays was acceptable. Oh my God, CNN! What are you doing? What are you doing? You're so just eager to ruin the lives of children. You want it so bad. You so badly want to put the white kids out of a job for the rest of their lives. You want to take their education. You want to take their opportunities. You want to take it so badly that you're willing to side with literal people who want to murder homosexuals. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's insane. It's insane. They couldn't see it. They couldn't see the truth. They had one point of view, it seemed, and that was their point of view, and was the only point of view that was worthwhile. Hey, Mr. Phillips, that literally describes the Hebrew Israelites. There are any number of YouTube videos of the Hebrew Israelites being the worst people on earth. And that's now what I was feeling. Black guys were saying racist things to the natives too. I believe it. I believe it. Okay. Colia Dante says they're called black Israelites, Nick. Some of the worst people in the world are the Hebrew Israelites, Nick Rekieta. Very different statement. I think they're called Hebrew Israelites. I think actually that's what they're called. Okay. All right. Were you trying to calm the situation down basically when you saw kind of things seem to spiral out of control? I think so. You think so? I think that was the push. I think that was the push. Sorry. That we need to use the drum, use our prayer, and bring a balance. Bring a calming to the situation. I didn't assume that I had any kind of power to do that, but at the same time, I didn't feel that I could just stand there anymore and not do something. Thank you, Mark Henegler. Thank you very much. No comment associated with the super chat. Thank you very much. It looked like these young men were going to attack these guys. They were going to hurt them. They're going to hurt them because they didn't like the color of their skin. Yes, that's right. That's what they were going to do. They didn't like their religious views. Guy, I don't even know anymore. I always thought the Catholics were basically opposed to the gays. I don't know, but I guess the Hebrew Israelites hold that one. They're just here in front of the Lincoln. Lincoln is not my hero. Why? Why is Lincoln not your hero, Phillips? Is it because Abraham Lincoln oversaw the largest mass execution in history? Lincoln didn't execute a single Southern general for the Civil War, but Lincoln executed like 22 natives right after it. He just went ahead and he just hung them all. Up here in Minnesota, largest mass execution in U.S. history, overseen by Lincoln. Why isn't he your favorite, Mr. Drummer Man? Why wouldn't Lincoln be your favorite? Let's see what he says. Lincoln's not my hero, but at the same time, there was this understanding that he brought the Emancipation Proclamation and freed the slaves. And here are American youth who are ready to look like lynch these guys. Oh, that's rich. Yeah, the white upper class Catholic students, the first thing on their mind is confronting and lynching the Hebrew Israelites at the Lincoln Memorial. I mean, I can't think of a single thing. Doug Comfair says, "Daz right." YouTube is gay says, "Good Lord, someone needs to give this man a hug." Oh my gosh. They look like they were going to lynch them. To be honest, he says, to be honest, they look like they were going to lynch them. That's right. What they're going to do is they're going to walk up to these black guys. Kids in high school were going to walk up to 4 black men and they were going to beat them, abuse them in various ways, horrific ways, find a tree and string them up. That's what was going to happen. Oh, yes. The lynchings in Washington, D.C. by Catholic school kids, man, they're out of control. They happen all the time. All the time. So much that that's what was the likely outcome that this guy thought. That's how broken we are. They were in this mob mentality. Where were their parents? At home. Because they're on a school trip, you idiot. Because they were obvious a student group. Where were their chaperones, says CNN? Because I have to imagine this guy can't get out a coherent thought. Yeah, chaperones. Where were they? What were they doing? Why did they allow them to come to such a boiling point? To allow such hate and racism just to be, and not teach them that this is wrong. American foundations, freedoms. The reason white people came to this country is for freedom of religion, freedom of speech. Yet here you all are, you included, trying to stop it. That bottle lick was for you, Lady Rackets. Bagel Goose says, WTH, I love Lincoln now. The reason white people came to this country for freedom of religion, freedom of speech, not to allow these men to have their freedom to say what they felt, was hurting them as a people, as a religion. I was listening to what they were saying. I was there for a different purpose. Hey! The public square is the public square. And you can stand across from someone else and also say your opinion. That's the public square. This is CNN. This is CNN. I was listening to what they were saying. I was there for a different purpose. Let me ask you about what happened to you. These boys in the middle of this group, and you find yourself surrounded. That's not even a sentence. These boys in the middle of this group, and you find yourself surrounded? What? What? How did that happen? And what did it feel like as a person standing there face to face with a young man who seems to be staring at you or glaring at you? They have the picture. That's not a glare. That's not a glare. It's a smirk. It's a devastating smirk. Glaring at you. How would you describe that moment? When I was there, and I was standing there, and you saw that group of people in front of me. And you saw the angry faces and all of that. I realized, look at these angry faces. Look at how angry these faces are. Smile, 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 smile. I realized that I had put myself in a really dangerous situation. Here's a group of people who are angry at someone else. And I put myself in front of them. And all of a sudden, I'm the one who's all that anger. Smile, 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 smile. Nothing but smiles. It's the happiest picture. Oh my gosh. And all of a sudden, I'm the one who's all that anger and all that wanting to have the freedom to just rip me apart. That was scary. Look at him. Ready to literally tear him up. And I'm a Vietnam veteran. And I know that mentality of there's enough of us. We can do this. We can do it, guys. We can stop a bunch of smiling white children from not doing anything. CNN. The young man that was standing in front of you, what was he doing? What was he trying to do as you were playing the drum? Were you fearful? Were you trying to leave? Were you trying to leave? He looks like he's definitely trying to leave. He's definitely being oppressed and restrained from leaving. That was exactly the thing that I was there. I seen the mass of people. I had realized where I'm at and what I was doing, and I realized that there was other people with me. And I didn't want them to get hurt because there was 100 plus of these young men who were well fed and healthy and strong and ready to do harm to someone. You don't know, you don't know, you don't know, and you don't know. I don't know if he was stolen valor, guys. I see you saying that. I've seen the allegation. I don't know anything about it. I'm not gonna put that on this man. I don't know. He doesn't either. And they just wanted that point of, this is it, in spring. Yes, if there's anything white Catholic school students are just laying in wait to do, it's to pounce on a group of black men. I mean, I've never not seen white upper class Catholic kids pounce on groups of black men and kill them. It's never not happened. This is it in spring. If this young man thought that he was that point and what I was trying to do, I realized where I was at. I needed an out. I needed to escape. I needed to get away. I needed to retreat somehow. But the only way I could retreat at that moment is what I see is just go forward. The only way to retreat, the only way, the most French thing he could think to do was walk directly to the crowd. The only, guys, if we're looking at this from a logical perspective, the only conclusion we can possibly come to is that he was literally retreating from the black men. I mean, are we serious here? I had to get away. I had to get away from this violent group of people, and the only way to do that was to walk right up to the middle of them. Oh my gosh. All Out of Bubblegum says, that smirk has kept my people in chains for hundreds of years. Smirking with intent to kill. Maddie P on the road. Anytime someone resorts to because I'm a veteran, you know they're full of bull. Source, I'm a veteran. Patreon.com/Asterios. Just go forward. And when I started going forward and that massive groups of people started separating and moving aside to allow me to move out of the way or to proceed, the ravenous group, this young fellow put himself in front of me and wouldn't move. If I took another step, I would be putting my person into his presence, into his space, and I would have touched him, and that would have been the thing that the group of people would have needed to spring on me. Yes, that's definitely going to happen. The group that was moving out of your way. Bagel Goose says, all these supple young boys looked ready to pounce on me, :3. I'd be putting my person into his presence, into his space, and I would have touched him. And that would have been the thing that the group of people would have needed to spring on. Because if I would have reached out with my drum or with my hands and touched him, that would have given them, I did that. I struck out, and that's not what I was doing. The song I was singing, the reason for it was to bring unity and bring love and compassion back into our minds and our beings as men and as protector of what is right. I was raised away from my family. I was put in foster care, and so I didn't have a traditional indigenous upbringing. I was brought up just like these young boys were brought up. Well, maybe I wasn't Catholic school, but I was public school. And when I went back home to my reservation, I asked questions. Do you have an Indian name? Do you know where I could get some moccasins? I wanted to know. And that cousin of mine that was sitting there, standing there, I was asking him these questions. He says, go home, white boy. That hurt. What? What? What are you even talking about? Kyle, I just scored a platinum edition of DVD of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Praise you. Praise you, buddy. What? That rambling screed doesn't make any sense. Oh, here, let me. CNN just leaves that alone. Just leaves alone the fact that that whole paragraph made 0 sense. Completely lost the script in the middle of it. CNN, you told me you don't like the word hate. Why is that? I don't like to say the word hate. I don't like to have it in my heart around me. Just not a thing I would carry with me. I did hate it. I did hate it one time. I hated people, places, and things. I hated myself. And it's just not does it feel, CNN interrupts him. Does it feel like hatred towards you? Because the kids will say, oh, we were just chanting our school chants, and this person came in between us as we were chanting our school chants, and we were not being hateful. What did it feel like to you? I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. Well, yes, I do. I guess. I heard that rhetoric before, and it's just one of those things. It's got to be like water off of a duck's back. Time for lies to not be accepted anymore. I don't accept their I'm just chanting a school chant. CNN just lets it go. Just lets it go. Was it their school chant? CNN, did you fact check it? Did you check? Did you ask? Dead air. Oh. Was there fear? What did it feel like in that scenario as you were standing there, sort of surrounded? you walked into and are best surrounded by like a 100-degree spread, and the chants were going on, and the young man was standing sort of in your face. That young man that you walked up to, the young man that you walked up to, sort of in your face, 3 feet away, not in your face at all. Guys, in a bar, this isn't even a fight. It's not even close. Oh, excuse me. When they said, let's go hit the drum, let's go sing, let's reclaim our space here, because this was the Indigenous Peoples March rally that was over. And when these two groups came together and started that, and I was witness, it's almost like they didn't care about your march. It's almost like they were at the Lincoln Memorial, unrelated to whatever issue you care about, because no one has to care about your pet project. No one owes it to you to give a crap about your march. I would never have heard of it. You should thank these kids, because the only reason anybody heard about your stupid march, where you have independent sovereignty away from the laws and taxes of the nation around you, where they didn't exercise the full right of conquest that all of Europeans understood when they took over native lands, where you are given special privileges. And I get that you don't like that. I get that you don't like that 400 years ago people took over the land of Virginia. I get it. I don't really care. It doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't matter. I get that you don't like it. That's fine. But you still have black people were brought here against their will and enslaved, and they have less power than you because you still have reservations. You still have privileges by treaty. You're still not forced to assimilate. People brought here against their will were forced to assimilate, and you weren't. Against all logic. Against all Middle Ages and Renaissance and modern logic of European thinking, you weren't forced to assimilate. And you still have the right to leave your sovereign nations, to leave the sovereignty, to come here and still protest. You still have it, but no one is forced to care. And let me be honest, very few people do. Maybe that's a shame, maybe not. I don't know. But without this kid confronting you, I wouldn't have even known you had a march. And CNN would have done nothing to get that message to me. So maybe you owe them thanks. Because now I know that you were there. Cormoran says, Troll with a purpose. Beat me to it by a couple seconds, so I'll ask for us both. Is this guy related to Elizabeth Warren? Maybe. Maybe somewhere? I don't know. Very close. Mildly infuriating says Tom Phillips plus Elizabeth Warren 2020. All right. Let's see what else. See what else. Let's see. Because this was the indigenous people's march rally. These two groups came together and started that, and I was witnessing as it escalated from just two small groups. Then the other one just went back and got more people. Went back and got more people. Then went back and got more people until there were over 100 people. Maybe 200 young men there facing down what? 4 individuals? Why did they need 200 people there other than it's hate and racism? They were a group! They were a group! What are you talking about? They had their target? You know what? The Catholic school, you know what they probably did? These kids are like, you know what we're going to do? Guys, we're going to find out where the black Hebrew Israelites are. We're going to find them, and on our school field trip that was probably planned months before either of these things happen, we're going to go track down the black Hebrew Israelites and then make fun of my native peoples. I can't take it. I can't take that that's where we are. That this is where some person actually goes in their mind. They actually think that this is the reality. That these 18-year-old kids, they're like, you know what we're going to do today? We're going to travel to the Lincoln Memorial just so we can harass some black nationalists. That's what we're going to do. They had their prey. And so I wish somebody would have been able to stand in front of the 7th Cavalry and my relatives at Wounded Knee. Yeah, because that's the same. I wish somebody would have stood there and said, no, you can't do this. Yeah, Wounded Knee's an atrocity. And I bet the little white kids would agree with you. You idiot. CNN. You can hear the cuck voice of CNN. We were talking about the issue between these two groups. The one was the black Israelites and the other was these mostly Caucasian young men. How mostly Caucasian? Was there diversity in that group? You were standing there and they were standing there around you and chanting. How did it feel? What did you feel that they were sort of doing to you, or what are your feelings? The response has been, we were just chanting our school chants and we weren't jeering, we weren't making fun of anybody. Hey, maybe because they weren't. We were just standing around. He just happened to be in the middle of our group. He literally says he happened to walk into the middle of the group, that he chose to. He literally said that. Is sort of the way they're saying this went. How did you feel about it? I felt like I denied them their prey. I felt like I denied them their prey, and so they were going to take it out on me. And yet, did they? Are you dead? No, they didn't. They literally took out all of the aggression on you by standing around and smiling. Oh my gosh. Standing around smiling, guys. They took it out on him. Next. Were they being hateful? Just bottom line. Did you feel hate from this group of people? Did it feel like they were being aggressive? With all the feelings going on right now. Phillips better be close to orgasm. I mean, are we serious? I'm having a hard time, guys. Phillips, I do believe that's all I could feel, and I don't like feeling it. I bet you like feeling it, buddy. Fear, not for myself, but for the next generations. He literally says he wasn't afraid for himself. Ah! If you weren't afraid for yourself. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna try and reconnect the restream chat. Okay. I hope this updates the restream chat because it was stuck. Stuck. So yeah. We'll see if it works. Trendy Fool says, did you know Phillips was in Skrillex's music video Bangarang? Not trolling. I had no idea. Did it update the chat? It didn't update the chat. Oh my gosh. What a disaster. The Restream chat app is just a mess. So I'm going to switch it back to the YouTube chat. Give me just a second. I hate doing this, but I mean, oops. I hate doing this because it's just clunky, right? But the chat broke, so here we go. All right. I have to take these breaks, guys. I have to take them. I'm sorry. I'm getting, like, I'm too annoyed at the disgusting level of journalism. Hold on. I gotta pull up the Stream Me chat too now. Everything's broken. I think I'm gonna ditch the Restream chat and figure out a way to get Stream Me chat and YouTube chat on the same thing. So, okay. Sorry. I needed a minute to cool down. Figured some technical stuff would help me get things ready. So pissed. This is from Stream Me. Crackbot says, Daz, right. I don't know if I got that earlier. I don't know how all that integrates with Streamlabs yet. I need more practice. Okay, back to it. Killstream Raid. Thanks, guys. Welcome to the show. Just here making fun of Native Americans. Zidane says F you for some reason. Hey, Zidane! F you back, buddy. Okay, here we go. Back to this. Now that the kill stream is flooding in. Thanks for it, guys. Here we go. They had their target. They had their prey. Oh, wait. Did you feel hate? I didn't feel fear, not for myself, but for the next generations. Fear where this country's going. Fear for those youths. Fear for their future. Fear for their souls, their spirit, what they're going to do to this country. There you go. Oh, here, let me get rid of the tardigrades poll. I'm sorry. I don't know how to delete polls. CNN. One of the things they said is we weren't protesting against Native Americans. We were there for the March for Life, and we were just chanting. It's almost like they went to a Catholic school and might have had an interest that had nothing to do with Native Americans. And this is kind of putting the blame on you. And that this person came into our space and we were getting all hyped, just getting all hyped up. Do you buy that? Not in the least. You literally said that! You liar! You liar! You literally said you walked into their space! Ha! Doug Confer says, dude, do you like Islay scotches? or only your garbage potato whiskey? Oh no, Islay Scotches are my favorite. My go-to whiskey is Lagavulin 16 or Lagavulin 12. I picked up a Glenlivet Nadura, aged in peated casks. Woo-hoo-hoo. Lady Rackets picked that out. I'm going to be buying more of those bottles. Those are great. Okay. Not in the least. What really happened, says CNN. What really happened? They were there looking for trouble, looking for something. Everybody knows the right to life and pro-choice. It's been like this, and they're hateful to each other. It's a Catholic school group. Of course they went to the right to life rally, you scumbag. Get aborted. Abort Joe Phillips or whatever his name is in like the 483rd trimester that he's in. Get out. And it's because I'm a veteran. I'm a Vietnam veteran that these two groups even have the right in this country. Yes. Yes, it is, Phillips. Yeah, that's right. You went and defended free speech on American soil by going to Vietnam to fight the communism in Vietnam. Regardless of your perspective on the validity of the Vietnam War or the cucking of us leaving after taking Saigon, oh my gosh, regardless of that, you defended nothing in the US by going to Vietnam to be napalmed into oblivion. What are you talking about? I mean, all the respect in the world to every veteran. I really do like veterans, but you had nothing to do with freedom in the US. The guys who fought for freedom in the US on US soil actually threw you off of your land. What are you talking about? Andrew Jackson didn't like you. You really don't want the guys who wrote the First Amendment talking about Native Americans, Phillips. These two groups even have the right in this country to have protests, to have conflicting opinions. If they were doing that, they should have done that there. And then when they came into public, that wasn't the place for that. The public is literally the place for it. The public square is what freedom of speech is. That was a public forum where we was at. Yes, the whole point. We were still under the protection of our permit for the Indigenous Peoples Rally. Yeah, and they're still under the right of being literally just in public as a group. Nardo Polo says, given his age and when Vietnam ended, Phillips likely did not go to Nam. How old is he? You dispute what they're trying to push off, which is basically, we were just chanting our school chants. This is the third time CNN has tried to lead him. CNN has grabbed him by the dick and is pulling him to, please dispute the fact that they were chanting their school chants. Please do it. And he hasn't done it. So they ask him every single time. Well, I mean, it wasn't just like their school chants, so was it? Please tell me it wasn't just their school chants. And this person came into our space and we were just being happy-go-lucky kids. No, not happy-go-lucky kids. If they was happy-go-lucky, we would have been laughing and enjoying each other's presence. All of the kids in the pictures are laughing. You're the odd man out, buddy. You walked in and weren't enjoying their presence. And company, because that's the kind of thing I like to do. I like to meet people. I like to find out where they're from and what they're up to in a good way. And you didn't do it, you liar. But what was happening there? There was nothing happy-go-lucky about it. It was just Build the wall. Oh, what? You know, Phillips. Joe is Phillips. You know, Phillips. The way you're going, they're going to start advocating for walls around the res, buddy. Wall in the casinos. Maddie P on the road says, money for the weird vet rant. Strangely satisfying. Thanks. Thank you. And some of the things that I heard but can't really say I exactly heard because it was way over there. You mean coming from the black Hebrew Israelites? Oh, nobody said that. It wasn't us who said that. So it's one of those he said, she said things. Who's the she here? Who's the she? Phillips must be going with the spacey defense, I guess. Must have to be because you're against a bunch of white males. So if it's he said, she said, then Phillips is the she. And what I'm saying is that they were very aggressive and they were very ready to hurt somebody. You have no idea. They didn't. If they're ready to hurt somebody, but they hurt nobody. Not one person. Because if there was one person even bumped into by an errant boner from one of these kids, CNN would have made it out like a murder. They just needed a reason. Yet you gave them every reason and they still didn't do it. You gave them every reason and they still didn't hurt anybody. Whether I was the one who diffused it. You didn't diffuse it, right? They were still mad. That's the whole narrative, is that you didn't diffuse it. Or not. I wouldn't have been able to do it without my relatives that were with me at the time. My older brother that was singing, and the inaudible that was standing with me at the time. You're literally in an interview, and you couldn't figure out what he said. There were sons of us that were indigenous. We stood together. Do you have one last thing to say? One message to these students that you would like to give to them? Anything else you'd like to give them too? CNN might want him to give him something else. Also, thinking of them as sort of high school student. They're young. How'd you sort of impart to them? And oh my God, if any high school student takes any lesson from Phillips, it's the opposite of English. That's the only lesson you should take. That this guy's grammar is atrocious. Nothing else he said should be listened to. He's not an educator. He's not an important figure. This isn't someone who should educate any children. How would you sort of impart to them what it felt like to you and what you'd like them to know about your experience with them? How could they do better? Yeah, I will pray for them. Thank you. That's good. Do that. Pray for them. That's how all of this should have ended. Should have just disagreed, walked away, and prayed. Instead, that's what the whole part was a prayer. The use of the drum, the song, that was a prayer. What I said to them at the end was, relatives! And I got their attention. I said, make America great. They said, how? What they were doing wasn't making America great. The whole idea. Did you tell them how? The whole idea, the spirit of America, that wasn't it. That wasn't American spirit that they were putting out there. It literally was. Like, if we want to be cynical, it literally was. The only way it could have been more American, I can't even say it. I can't even say the joke. Christ Raisin says, stop feeling. Let go of your hate, you effing miserable old man. Yes! How do people live like this? How do people live looking for hate? How do you live looking for hate? Just go work and live and marry a girl and bang her and make children. You want to get rid of hate? Just go have kids. Don't walk around looking for hate. Stop the protesting. I'm not opposed to protesting, but you're not doing it. You're hurting your causes. Just go be good people. It's not hard. Not hard. Ugh. All right. All right, guys. I'm a long way in. 2.5 hours. We read through that absolute disgrace of an interview where we were in the case. I can't finish this case. The opinion still got several pages. We made it through 5. There's so many pages left. I would go through 8 more pages. I only got through 5. I only got through 5 before getting too pissed off to finish. There's 8 more pages to go. I can't do it. All right. Okay. So I'm not going to finish the case. Here's what you need to know about New York Times versus Sullivan and how it figures into all of this. New York Times versus Sullivan created the public figure doctrine, or solidified, we'll say, the public figure doctrine, which says that a public figure in a libel action, and importantly in NYT versus Sullivan, a public figure is a public figure, meaning a public official, an elected or appointed government employee. Okay? That kind of still applies to massively popular people. It always applies to government workers in their official capacity, in their government duties. Trying to apply NYT versus Sullivan to just famous people makes it a little difficult. Although the court kind of leans that way, there's an argument to be made it doesn't apply. But what it means is that libelous statement against a public figure criticizing them in their official capacity or duty, you have to prove actual malice. You have to prove either knowledge of the falsehood or a reckless disregard for of truth, and then publishing with the intent to cause harm. That's what New York Times versus Sullivan stands for. Now, in the context of current day, you know who's not a public official under NYT versus Sullivan? Is a bunch of children and a Catholic school. They're not public figures. They didn't thrust themselves rapaciously into the public square. None of that will apply to them. Doxing the journalists just sitting there, jerking themselves off into their own mouth to dox these kids, to ruin their lives, can all go straight to a sword for all I care. They can just run full on into traffic and die with the lack of dignity that they have. I hope when it happens that they crap themselves immediately and just lay their excrement all over their bodies. These people are disgusting. They're disgusting. None of them are proponents of hate, yet they literally shill hate day to day. They can't wait for hate because it's the only thing they can monetize. They can't monetize truth. They lost that a long time ago. All they can do is try and manufacture hate and live in it. They should be put to death in Minecraft, I guess. I guess that's where it has to go, because they're going to sit there and claim, my journalistic integrity, my journalistic immunity. They have none of it. They can't hide anymore. They can't hide. I hope this school sues them into oblivion. I hope the parents of all of these children sue them into oblivion. Crowdfund it. Crowdfund it. Run them out of ground. Don't sue them as a class action. Sue them individually. Every single student who's maligned. Everybody. Start it. Start it. They can't keep it up. Run them down. Crowdfund it. Who cares if you win? Bleed them out. Bleed them out. They can't keep doing this. No one actually hates these people. The only people who hate groups anymore are the media and the paused bloggers. You're the people who hate. Most of us just don't care. Indifference isn't hate. Laughing at jokes isn't hate, but trying to ruin people's lives is hate. You all deserve whatever comes to you. All right, guys. All right, guys. Yeah, the Pride of Africa on Streamy asks, what about George Zimmerman versus CNN or whoever? Judge said that since the news had made Zimmerman a public figure, Sullivan applied to him. Yeah, that's a garbage decision. That could maybe deserve a Supreme Court challenge. It's hard to say. It's hard to say if NYT would hold up under that. This court has been notoriously free speech, so maybe. But we need to stop letting them get away with it. We need to stop it. Guys, the courts won't save us. Justice Roberts, Chief Justice, he told us in the Obamacare decision, like, the court isn't here to save people from bad elections. Unelect these people. Term limits. Get rid of campaign finance reform. Dump money into political elections. Start dumping money into your public speech. It's the only way we can win. It's the only way. These guys have a 5% approval rating and a 90% reelection rating. It's wrong. Why? They've protected themselves. They've insulated themselves. So we've got to stop. Got to stop with the news media. We've got to start attacking them. Crowdfund it. Crowdfund it. Anyway. All right, guys. There's one more super chat, and then I'm going to turn in and finish this gin real quick. You think anyone at CNN can drink gin neat? Rugal Migdal says, calm down, fam. You've had too many black pills too quickly. Don't yell so much because our enemies will use quick clips. Righteous anger never plays so well. Yeah. It's okay. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. Thanks for the sagely advice, though. All right, guys. I got to turn this stream in. Kill stream, guys. Thanks for coming from the kill stream. Thanks for watching the Tonka stuff and spreading it around. I'm going to... Minor announcement at some point in the future. I've been saying this for a while, but I really want to move on this. I am going to move time slots because I hate competing with the kill stream, and I hate not being able to guest as much as I'd like. I hate competing with my friends. Had a great time in Knoxville, and Knoxville. It was great meeting Ralph, CRP, Gator, all those guys. Look forward to meeting many of you in the future. Stay out there, guys. Keep supporting the people fighting the good fight. Keep laughing at the Jordan Petersons. Keep laughing at the Kekistanis. And gamers, rise up. Rise up. Wait. Zeroes In says, Nick, Tonka doing an announcement of found info tomorrow. Are you ready? Oh, we'll see if he shows up to this one. We'll see if he shows up to this one. We'll see if he can get off work selling the cars. I need a Mercedes and a Benz, his and hers. Jeez. See if he can get off work this time to do the stream he's promising. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for supporting me. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Hey, if you're on Stream Me and you hate the YouTube and you don't ever watch it anymore, please subscribe on YouTube anyway. If you still got an account. If you don't, I understand. But if you do, please subscribe. And we got more coming. Tonka streams are coming. Either tomorrow or Thursday will be the first of the Tonka stream. I just have to see if I can get them ready. I want to get them ready. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good night. I know I will. Peace. Oh, real quick. Why are we laughing at Jordan Peterson? Because he gave up $33,000 a month in Patreon money to fight someone else's battle who isn't fighting it that hard. I mean, maybe he should have waited. Just saying. Maybe he made the right decision. I don't know. But my ideological purity coming from Jordan Peterson, I don't know about that. Anyway, sorry guys. I'm gonna go now. Peace.